conversation here on Lagos Television. And this morning, we're discussing achieving financial independence as a young adult. I was just having this conversation with my kids yesterday. While we're having this conversation, we fought. Because, yes, we fought. Yeah, always, one of them is always disturbing me. Mommy, I want to buy data. Mommy, and the other one is working because they are all on holidays. And I said, look, do you even understand what financial independence is? So for my own definition, I believe financial independence is having control of funds that you made legally. And
okay,
yes, because
it's good that you put the
legally, and being able to get your needs through these funds made legally, and not be wasteful. Because if you worked for it,
you won't waste it.
You won't waste it. That is what financial independence is. Not having money, at your beck and call, and then be throwing it about. Yeah, and be doing loud. So Daniel is here. Daniel Agbaje is a public policy analyst and youth advocate. He's here to
break it down.
No. I'm just giving you. When we're doing debate, and I will say, maybe I've been able to convince you. I don't confuse you. So Daniel Agbaje is here. Maybe he will confirm what I have said or discredit it.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
So, I have described what I understand as financial independence.
Literacy, yeah.
Okay, so what is financial literacy?
The first thing first, if we're talking about financial literacy, we need to consider the young adults. Okay, how do we define young adults? That's a major question here. So there's no universal age range for young adult, but it is assumed to be from 18 to 30. Now, when we talk about financial literacy or independence, it's just as if you're having control over your income, having total control over your income, and be ready to solve, let me say, unexpected expenses.
Thank you.
And to also make decision, a very good decision for your life, without constantly depending on others. So the issue there is, how can you manage your own resources? Okay. In economics, there is these particular topics that they talks about money, to be precise, and then there is motive for holding money. There are motive. We have transactional motive, speculative motive, and precautionary motive. These are reasons why you need to hold that money. And then the other part of it is, how do you make use of the money? Because if you don't have total control over your finances, definitely you might not be able to achieve some goals. So financial independence to young adult simply means having control. The unexpected expenses I'm putting there is, we go all about our normal daily activities. You can have to get something or unforeseen circumstances. All this thing comes up. How do you attend to them? And that is why I actually ushered in that speculative, that's motive for holding money. You need to have a budget for emergencies, or let me just say, you need an emergencies fund to be set aside. And these are part of the reasons why you need to have this knowledge. Because I normally tell people one thing, I said, if you embark on a journey of financial independence without proper mentoring, then you are bound to pay the transport fare yourself. So if you are not mentored so well on how to manage these resources, truly you are working for it. But you need to manage it well to create sustainable wealth.
Okay, I like the fact that you mentioned mentorship. So who will or who should be doing the mentorship now? Because they will come and tell you, it is my money.
Okay.
Why are you coming to tell me how to spend my money?
Okay. There are reasons why you need mentoring or mentorship on how to spend your money. Some years back, I've been in the position whereby I have access to some funds. When you have access to some funds, you just spend them the way they come. So you assume that if I finish this one, then I have access to other one. But if you're in a position whereby you need to work for those funds, so there will be a need, or there is a need for you to ask questions on how to sustain that money. So the sustainability of that fund is what leads you to mentorship. Because you need to ask questions, where am I to invest my money? That is if you wanted to practice that financial independence or you wanted to attain that stage. So you need to ask questions from people who are in the field of investment. How do I save? You don't just save, you need to invest, because if you put your money in your bank, your money is not doing anything there. You need to put it in an investment that will bring a return. So you can't just venture into an investment. You heard that, okay, people are going into real estate, and then you just feel like, let me just go to one environment and start my own business. You need to meet people in this field, ask questions. How do they go about it? What are the risks? What are the benefits? There's something they call cost-benefit analysis. You need to measure the cost, know the return on all this cost, and then know if this business is something that you can actually handle, because that's another angle, because you cannot just venture into a business that you don't have any idea about. So even though you don't have an idea, that is why you need somebody to tell you how to go about it.
Did you study economics in school?
Yeah.
Okay. I needed to ask that. And so, so before one can say you're investing or saving money, at least you must work first.
You must work
that's
first,
where I want to take it from. Now, we see a lot of young people who are embracing side hustles.
Yeah.
You know, hustle. See them venturing into content creation, even some legally, some illegally. They're sharp hustling. You know. And so again, I don't have the accurate data, but I know that you deal with a lot of young people. And so when you see the areas where these young people are diversifying into, you know, trying to make ends meet for themselves, do you think they're sustainable?
Okay, what actually makes a wealth sustainable is how you make use of those wealth. You can be in all this field that you've mentioned, and then the idea of this thing is get this fund, make it a continuous process. So it is not something you are getting and then once you spend them, that's the end. You need continuity, and that is where the investment comes in. So it is not an idea of you getting a formal job alone. Even when you have a formal job in this Nigerian setting, now let me tell you, if you have a formal job, it is advisable for you to have a side hustle, like what you said.
It's advisable to have an informal one.
I don't want to say an informal one, but let's just say a side hustle, because each of those things complement themselves. If you are going to 9 to 5 job, you need to wait till 30 or 29 of the month to get yourself paid. Then what will cover for the rest of the days that you are not paid? So it means that your 9 to 5, you must get a skill, and that is where the young adult comes in. When you are just referred to as a young adult, this is just a period where you are either finishing your education or you are just starting. You must be in one category. And it's also a stage whereby you start up a career or a business. So you must build a skill and make proper financial future plan. So while you are schooling, you must learn to create a business. Okay, let me give an example. There is this program that federal government created recently, NYSC Bank of Industry Loan Fund for NYSC. So they are telling you, the more you are a COP member, you have access to some fund to start up a business for yourself. Now let's look at it this way. You are getting 77K from federal government monthly, and then you have access to that fund. Now, if you have access to that fund, it now depends on the skill you have, because you can't just go for fund. I believe there are criteria in getting these funds. So if you cannot meet up with this criteria, you cannot get them. So for young people in that field, what I advise them is, if you are in that field and you are doing so well with it, learn to invest in other areas, because that is your major source of income. So by investing in other areas, then you can help yourself build more financial independence.
Okay, from my understanding of what you have just said, or what you have just analyzed, is that if you must always have, a side hustle. What if you have a high-paying job? Can you achieve financial independence?
Yeah, if you have a high-paying job, you can still achieve financial independence. Okay. What I'm saying a side hustle is, it's not really advising. Okay, let me pick from your own standpoint where you said a high-paying job.
I'm not earning a high. I'm not high. I am not.
That's why I said let me
pick highly.
Okay, let's just.
I'm not.
Let's just paint a picture that we have Mr. A okay, that we have Mr. A that is getting, he's being paid.
Okay.
Well, now, doing a side also do not really mean I'm saying that you should, people are in banking sector and they are also in real estate.
True.
People are in bank, or people are in, let me say, okay, real estate, and they are also in other area. You can be in real estate and also be a shareholder in a bank. Did you get it? So it's still a side also. You might not be there fiscally, but since your money is domiciled, your money is there, you are also part of that business, and then you are entitled to get something in return because you are also part of people funding that business. So it is also a side also.
Okay.
So
Okay.
investment is a side hustle.
Yes.
Yes.
I also want you to clarify skills, that one can acquire, because we have a lot of young people in here with us watching behind the scenes, and I'd like you to highlight some of those skills that can be acquired, even if eventually they are done with school and with NYSC, and they get the high-paying job.
That emphasis on. Okay.
Yeah, some of the skills, we can't all be lucky,
Yes.
and some might just have the skill alone.
Alone, and then they are still.
And then they're still.
Okay. What I tell people is, during my master's period, I did research on public policies. So I was trying to look into all these areas, and then I discovered that, China recently, I think they deregistered over like 12,000 courses because they felt like those courses were not fitting into...
They're obsolete. They don't fit today's realities
so
anymore.
Now, telling people to go for a skill, you yourself, you know that these skills are not sustainable again.
Like business admin. Sorry.
I can't mention because there are still people in that field. So there are some courses that if you come to me, I will tell you openly that don't do them. Because I believe that after that is why we see people studying this course and then you see them in other fields. So before you can tell people to go into a particular course, look at Nigeria, examine Nigeria carefully and see if those things still works in this nation. So I can't tell people, I don't want to mention those courses, but I have some courses that I will tell you, even my younger siblings, I tell them before they pick up any course, I'll be the one to pick those courses for them. I won't impose on them, but I'll sit them down and make them see the reason why they need to go into this field. You can't finish your job. I had a friend while I was serving, she studied pharmacology. Until today, she hasn't gotten anything to do with that certificate. Because wherever she goes to, they tell her, you don't have a license. So when she's coming in, she believes she's coming in to study pharmacy. But on finishing that particular discipline, she discovered that pharmacy is different from pharmacology. A pharmacist has a license. A pharmacology doesn't have a license. Now, she wanted to work in the field of those pharmacists, but they can't accept her because they always ask her, do you have a license? So without a license, she can't. Until today, she could not get anything to do. So if she wanted to do something, they would tell her, okay, go to agencies that works on drugs, people that do all these drugs, all these chemical companies or something like that. And she felt like, this is not what I signed for. I said, my dear, this is where you find yourself. It's because of that mentorship was not there. So when we talk about all these skills...
Mentorship before she
eventually, yes. So when we talk about skill, I tell people we have data analytics, cyber securities, all of those things like that. Even myself, I'm still working on cyber securities. And, in Nigeria today, there are so many job vacancies. I smile whenever I pass through a place and I still see that vacancy sitting there. The question I ask myself is it that people has never walked into this place to sign up for this job? But I discovered that when people go there and they ask them, what do you have? They have no requirement that match.
They're not equipped enough.
So while you are schooling, you can still learn the skills. People are working remotely now. There are remote workers everywhere. So it depends on your skill. If you are skillful in that field, you get the job. So one needs to now move, we have fashion designing. Previously we called them tailor. But now they don't call themselves tailor again. They say, I'm a fashion designer, Abby. Now, when you look at the difference, we still have some people that I will still call them tailor. Because because if you go to their shop, you know they're actually tailor. So if you go to a fashion designer shop, you know this is a fashion designer. So it's more or less like a salon. You go to some salon, they look like, you see the clothes they will put on your neck and how dirty it is. And if you go to some places, you see a well-designed and well-structured environment. That is to tell you they infuse what they've learned and the skill they learn over time. And that is where education comes in. It's never a scam. So if you're not getting a job with that certificate, you can always use the knowledge acquired while studying that course, infuse it into your business, and make your business different from other people.
Absolutely, no knowledge is a waste. And since we are still talking about achieving financial independence, especially for young adults, when we started this conversation, we mentioned financial literacy, financial independence, and I want us to talk about social media and young people, how social media is influencing and putting pressure on young people, because when you go online and you are seeing different things, you are seeing people throwing money here and there, and you'll be wondering, this is my own life, do I have one head? Do I have two heads? And that puts a lot of pressure on young people. And then that's, again, when they now find small money, they want to live life like what they have seen on social media.
Everybody wants to live like a celebrity.
You know, especially when it has to do with young adults. Let's address that.
Okay, what I tell people is, we are humans. That is one, and then we are inevitable, or let me say, our foibles and fallibilities is what makes us humans. We are never deities. So when things like that happen, we need to maintain an allowance for the humanity of men. So when you see these young people saying all of those things, they are being influenced by what they see. I normally tell people that this era now, you don't need to sit a child down before. A child can be passing through where they are doing a party and they will just hear a verse of the song and the verse will remain with them. Why is it so? But that same person, tell him or her to read, they'll find it so difficult. It means that we learn by what we see, and that our building depends on what we see and what we watch. Now, based on the social media influences, I tell people about, you are not seeing the back end. That is just the basic truth. So you are seeing people coming online, calling their husband and they are dancing, and then you see the man giving the lady the money. These are just what they want you to see. They just want you to feel that they are perfect. And for that perfection to reflect your own imperfection, my dear, life no really balance. But you need to find your balance from the imbalances. That is just a major thing. That same person that is showing you what you are seeing, check them very well. You will see that they also have weaknesses. And that is why I said we are humans, we are not deities. We have this particular frailties nature in us. So we should not see other people. So if you want social media to design your life, then focus your life on social media. At some point in time, I've been a victim of social media. I think last year on Facebook, whenever I logged into Facebook, what I see there was, if you are a man and then you are urinating frequently, you have cancers, or you have prostate cancers, you have all of these things. And then I discovered that I urinate frequently during that period.
So what happened?
Did you get? I urinate. So anytime I'm just going through, I'm seeing different videos. I was just like, am I having this thing? You won't believe that I was forced to go to the hospital. And then I spoke with the doctors. The doctors was talking to me like, okay, what are the signs? I gave him the sign. He said, these are not signs of prostate. But I said, Oga, I saw it. Let me run the test. He said, okay, this is the amount of... I said, Shebi is my money. Let me run this test. And after I did the test, I came back. He said, did you see? There's nothing wrong with it. I said, but these are things I'm seeing. He said, forget it. He said, forget it. He now made a point. He said, when you are seeing those adverts, are you not seeing some information that you can contact us? I said, I'm seeing it. He said, that is what they want. So if you contact them, they'll tell you you have it. Their own aim is to make profit. So the advert is to get you there. So he now told me that, see, don't let social media influence you. if what you are saying there is not something that you feel that is okay for you, you can discredit or you can leave. So most people that are being influenced by that media space is because they created that allowance themselves for them to be influenced. It is normal for someone to be before you. And then if you are behind someone, definitely there's somebody behind you. So what you need to understand is you are not running at the pace of others. There's time for everything. When your time comes, you will move. But the moment you feel like you are not okay with your current situation and then you want to run ahead of yourself, then be ready to pay the transport for yourself. You know, recently I think one social media influencer got married and people were complaining, and then there is one that is saying, when your girlfriend is not doing well, send him away. And then unfortunately the person got married.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And so many people were online saying, because of you, I left my girlfriend. Because of you, I left my marriage. It was like, did I tell you leave your marriage? I only, I'm dishing out what I believe most of you will accept. Let me give you one thing. Go online, start reading economics or government topics. Start teaching government online. You will not see one like.
No.
But go online and start dancing. You'll see the differences. Start both of them at the same time. The reason is because what we wanted to see is what they are showing us. Because they knew that if they tell us what we need to see, we will not follow them.
Is it because they know or they just don't want to hear the facts?
It's because they know what we wanted. It's more or less like telling somebody that bikini is bad. To ladies, how would you feel? For someone to tell you bikini is bad.
Different. Bikini has a purpose for wearing
it. Has a purpose, right? In the beach, Abby.
At the beach,
now,
at the pool.
Why can't you put on the same bikini in your house? You see how difficult it is.
Let's go to our topic for today: achieving financial independence as a young adult. As the older generation, we normally or always tell the younger generation, this youth. That look, save and invest, save and invest, save and invest. So how much, or what is the minimum amount that young people can acquire before they can invest?
Okay, financial independence is not all about getting rich quickly. We need to understand that it is not getting rich quickly. It is just like you are. It is a stage whereby you are building your own stability. So, every investment has a quota, and every shares has a percentage. So, if you feel like, okay, what I can have is more or less like you are going into real estate. When you go into real estate, somebody will tell you, I have the power to acquire many plots. If your own is to start a single plot, and build maybe room self-contained on it and put it out, you are still running your business. It depends on your own finance. Yes. So your investment should depend on your own capacity, your income, because it is from your income you set aside what to invest. So your investment should be dependent on your income.
So now talking about investment opportunities, I hear a lot. I don't understand these things, but I hear a lot about crypto, forex, stocks, and other investments. How can the young, and it's just these young people that are always doing these things. I'm not saying they are bad, but how do you now distinguish or identify which one is good and which one is not fraudulent? Because to me, I just see all these things as, I don't want to say as not good.
As not good.
let me use that word. Not good.
Not Ponzi skills.
Not Ponzi skills, yes.
Not
cryptocurrencies.
No,
why most people...
Forex. They say they are learning...
BTC.
They are learning trading.
Trading, yes.
Yes. Please, I need to understand this.
Okay, this is how trading works. Trading is just like a digital platform. Now, the reason most of these things are not really working in Nigeria is because most people do not really understand how it works. And it takes time. It's more or less like you are doing...
It's not fraudulent?
No.
Okay,
It's more or less like you are doing a full-time job.
Okay.
Because it's something you need to sit with, learn the signals, and learn to buy or exchange when the signal says go.
So it's not like gambling?
No, it's not like gambling. Because recently, you know, when you're at some point in time in life, you feel like, what I'm doing, I need to do other things. So I pick up my phone someday and then I go on Cloud AI and I was asking Cloud AI, what can I do? And everything was giving me cryptocurrencies, BTC, exchange, buying and selling of dollars. People do that as their own job.
Buying and selling of dollars.
I'm telling you, they buy dollars, save it in their wallet, wait for when the inflation goes up,
and then push
and
it
then
out.
they sell. So they sell dollar, they get paid in naira. That same money they accumulate again, buy another set of dollars, keep, wait, sell, they get the return. And that is what they are doing. And this thing happen, it can virtually happen on your phone without even leaving your comfort zone. So this same crypto of a thing can also happen on your phone also. But the risk there is, they do tell people if you are, because before you can go into this thing, you need somebody to put you through. And the person will make it known to you that when people talk about this thing that it is nice, when the risk come, you bear the risk. And don't be surprised, you might be depressed. Because investing over 5 million and then within a few minutes, not even an hour, and then you are seeing your 5 million becoming 10,000 naira, how would you feel?
And that, she asked the question, you know, how you were trying to describe, was it crypto? And she said, is that not gambling? So how do you differentiate between true investment and, of course, gambling?
That's a very deep question. Gambling is more or less like, or let me put it this way, gambling, you are not really investing. Gambling is not an investment.
Okay, I see it as investment is slow. It takes time.
What, gambling?
Investment is
like
a gradual process.
In the soil.
And then you are waiting to germinate.
You
nurture it. But gambling is you are putting it and then you are getting the return instantly.
You get gratification.
Yes, even this crypto does not work instantly.
Okay.
You need to wait, get the signals, do it right. So it involves you focusing on, but gambling, it's more or less like you are picking games and then you are picking this and this and this and so within a twinkle of an eye, it's gone. But when we talk about investment, you need to invest, wait for the return. The company will tell you, okay, what they are doing with your money. They call a board meeting to educate you that this is where your money is going to, and then when the money comes back, this is the percentage you are receiving. Gambling does not give you those details. It does not give, he's not even interested in giving you those details. In fact, they are using that return to bring you in, because in a normal person, how would they tell you put on there and get 10 million naira?
Agreed.
Even if you get that money in your mind, you know you will not spend it well.
Okay, there's one question that has been ringing in my head. Should young people borrow money to start a business? Why is there any time I ask a question? Should they borrow money?
Okay, let me give you a slight example of myself. Myself and some two guys started a business way back in 2018. One of the things I told them is we are not borrowing money to start up this business. We will start small. We will contribute. I don't want to know how you get the money, but you are not telling us you borrow this money. It is your own quota. You must bring money into this business. But when a young people needs to borrow money, it is not a crime. I'm not going against borrowing money, but make sure the people you are borrowing from are people that understand your vision and people that can actually give you the time for building. Did you get it? Instead of going to banks to borrow money to start up a business, why not talk to your siblings? They understand. So even if the business is not pushing the way you felt the business should be going, you can call them and explain to them that, mommy,
you can't explain to bank.
That is what I'm saying. So if you go to that extent of getting loans from bank, they don't want to know if the business is working or not. When the stipulated time comes, you have to pay back. So, and the business might end up folding up because you can't, the business is not working yet and you are paying the return. So it's more or less like you are doing yourself. So I advise people to borrow, but from a source that can actually allow them to build.
Okay, we must end this conversation here because time is not on our side.
Put it on hold.
Put it on hold
Because
maybe we need a part 2.
Yes, we have not concluded because but time will not allow us. Yeah.
Financial independence is not something that happens overnight. It requires discipline, patience, because again, it's like putting a seed in the soil. It takes time for that tree to germinate and then begin to yield fruits. Thank you so much, Daniel Agbaje, for your time on the conversation. He is a public policy analyst and youth advocate, and we've been talking about achieving financial independence as a young adult. The conversation continues. Stay with us.
Even as an old adult.